What's up, guys? Danreb here from SmashPad.com, and I am here to talk about our latest preview of Towa and the Guardians of the Sacred Tree. This game was first unveiled at Summer Game Fest, and I played it there for about 15 minutes and really enjoyed what I played. So we definitely linked that preview to this current preview that you're reading, and you can just go ahead and click on that. But anyway, this updated preview was really awesome. It's something that I'm really looking forward to after playing it. We had about 4 hours with the game, and we really had a deep dive here. We were allowed to play through at least 3 bosses. I never actually got to that point, but yeah, let me go ahead and talk about that journey as we got there. Well, first of all, if you haven't heard about this game is a roguelite, very much in the vein of Hades or Bastion from Supergiant Games. Now, take that art style and just replace it with anime and anime tropes, and there you have Towa. It is a very colorful place to be in, with enemies that are both, menacing as well as cute and whatever it may be. The game was developed by Brownie. They don't have the biggest pedigree as far as, well-known games. I think their biggest game is Doraemon Story of Seasons. That one came out on the Switch, PS4, and PC in 2019. And yeah, they're also known for the Eglia series, which I'm actually not familiar with, so I'm not gonna talk about that. But yeah, again, the game is a very colorful roguelite, and it's also really approachable to those who are not fans of the genre. Me being one of them. I am not big on roguelites at all. I have not even beaten Hades, so that's how basic I am with that. But the cool thing about it is that there is also sort of a casual mode where if you decide to use that one, you receive less damage from enemies. I never tried that out, despite the fact that I never successfully went through the whole demo. But it is cool knowing that there are, sort of, accessibility options for people who are not into the genre. That being said, the story is really quite solid. Basically, it's typical roguelite fare. You have to rid the areas you're in of all the enemies so that you're able to, bring peace and prosperity back to just whatever place you're in. It's typical stuff. The main thing about this, though, is that when you're playing the game, or when you're actually in the action mode part of it, you're using 2 kinds of characters. One is called the Tsurugi, the other one is called the Kagura. The Tsurugi is a sword user, and that'll be the main character you use with melee strikes, and that'll be what you rely on. Your secondary character is called a Kagura, and the Kagura is all about wielding a staff. They're your support character. They're there to help you out with the magic attacks and with the spells that'll buff you up and that sort of thing. As you're going through the game, you also have to note that your sword's dull after use, so the way to go about it would be to press a button so you switch swords. Your secondary sword is typically going to be a little bit weaker, or it's just going to be an ability that just sort of feels a whole lot different to use. If you don't want to go ahead and use that sword, you can just go ahead and press the button twice, and you'll be able to unsheath and sheath your sword that's back to its original state. But yeah, you have to keep in mind that they will dull, and the only way to get it out of its dull is to just switch as you go. The secondary character, just because I'm a basic player, I didn't really use those moves all that much, but it's really all about finding a combination of characters that'll fit your loadout. There are 8 characters that you're able to use. Each one feels extremely different. My favorite one was Bampuku. He uses a whole lot of melee kind of strikes, as well as a body slam as his secondary sword art, so that was pretty cool. And then my secondary character had this pounding ability, as well as the ability to pretty much put us in a temporary shield to avoid damage and things like that. And again, things are very approachable. Every room requires you to rid of enemies, and then after you go ahead and kill the enemies, an item shows up that'll go ahead and make the run easier. You go ahead and pick up that item, and then you exit the room. Sometimes the rooms are going to have different exits with different rewards, and you're actually going to have a preview of what you can actually go into. Some rooms are going to have more enemies, and then some rooms are actually going to help you out. They can be things like stores, where you can go ahead and buy more items to go ahead and help your run. Sometimes there'll be bathhouses where you can just go ahead and take a rest and replenish your HP, as well as buff up certain parts of your loadout. That way you can make the run easier. At the end of the day, you have to get to the end, and you fight a Magatsu boss. And these are these spirits that are the reason why, each biome you're in is struggling. Now, here's the kicker, and this is actually something that we didn't know until today, or rather, the day this is being posted. In this preview, I linked you guys to a trailer that shows what happens after Banpuku and another character, get rid of a boss. Every time you're able to get rid of a boss or kill a boss, you actually have to sacrifice the Tsurugi. So it's really important knowing which characters you want to use, not only to make your run easier, but knowing the fact that your secondary character will be sacrificed at the end of that run if you're successful. If you die at any point, you go ahead and start that run all over again, and you have those characters that you had. Using that trailer as an example, after Banpuku dies, when you get to the next run in the story, you're not going to have him anymore. So you have to really just protect your characters and know that your secondary character is going to die no matter what. I don't think this kind of feature has been in any roguelite game before. Granted, I don't have very much experience in the genre, so I can't really tell you that's the truth or not, but it's definitely an interesting wrinkle that I particularly enjoyed. That being said, it's not all about the roguelites either. You're also going to be using the main character, Towa, in this village where, she can go ahead and talk to townsfolk, and in the meantime, just be able to, sort of remotely raise the stats of each of her guardians. You can do things like, you can go to the swordsmith and make swords, and doing that is like a mini game that's very similar to those of you that played Pirate Yakuza. When you're cooking, it's kind of like that. You do all of these WarioWare-esque mini games, and that way you're able to craft new stuff to, again, make everything easier, and that's really the point of everything here. As well as every time you talk to someone, that'll traverse or that'll make the story move forward. Sometimes you'll get an item and things like that. So it's really cool seeing you go back to this main hub world after you complete a run, whether you die or whether you actually move forward. So it is a cool way to see the story move forward, and it's awesome just seeing the way that Towa and all the NPCs, as well as the guardians you actually use, talk to each other. The camaraderie is really there, and I really see people gravitating to certain characters, and again, like the big thing here is whether or not you're going to keep them alive and things like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I go into more detail in my written preview, as you're seeing below, and yeah, this game comes out in September for just about everything, and I think this is a game that's really going to do well, and I hope people play it. Yeah, that's about it, and until then, we'll be back for the review of the game as we get towards the release. So that's pretty much it. I'm Danreb, this was SmashPad.com, and this was our preview of Towa and the Guardians of the Sacred Tree.
Now is the moment of truth. The Magaori have fight in them still. I won't concede this fight.